So you want a katana. Let me lay down some rules you should think about. What country are you in? So what limits, what limiting factors do you have from your country? Laws, legality, length of sword, versus, can you own one in your country? How, age restriction, taxes and shipping. Let's think. What are you gonna do with the sword? What do you expect from the sword? And what? I'm trying to think of another good rule that should be applied with swords. And what material? What do you expect from the sword? I think that's what I just said. So, yeah, just some basic rules you should think about. What is your skill level? That should be the final thing. How good are you with a blade? Are you new? Are you advanced? That should be another factor. Now, we're going to discuss what a katana is. Now, a katana, as most of you know, is a blade from Japan. Now, a lot of people have some unrealistic notions of swords from Japan, thanks to anime and manga. Sorry, we're all otakus. I totally understand that. But you have to have realistic notions of the blade. Most swords cannot cut through a car, a giant robot, Godzilla. I can keep going on, people. It's not going to happen. What are some realistic expectations you should have from your sword? Depending on the material, you should expect the blade to be able to cut water bottles, some gourds, and by such, pumpkin, watermelon, cantaloupe, just a basic gourd. You should also expect it to be able to cut some foliage, bamboos, tree limbs, things like that. I think that's fair to some people have asked that. I think it's fair. What are some of the materials from swords? Now, ranging from the $10 to $10 range, or $0 to $90 range, we're gonna see stainless steel cosplay blades, and then it'll lead up to $10.45, and near the edge there you'll get to $10.65, maybe $10.95, which is very rare. But we're gonna take the stainless steel ones from cosplay and just throw them in the trash. Those, don't use them, people. Please don't use them. A couple of people have you saying, look what I have, and I've been bashing things with it. It bent. Why did it do this? It was a rat-tailed sword. In my other video, I really did say, please don't do that with. It's dangerous. I don't know how I can drive that home. It's dangerous to use those swords for cutting things. You can actually injure yourself or others around you. Now, the 1045 is flexible. 1065 is basically a medium blade. You can cut things, it'll flex, it'll pretty much do a universal thing. And those are the ones I'm seeing a lot in my introductory classes that I've been taking with my but the other thing I've been seeing in the more higher ranges with students would be the spring steel in 1095. Now, 1095 is very hard, but it's not very flexible. So if you're doing a long, curved strike, heavy hit, that's good for you. Spring steel can flex and do the heavy strike, so that I would say that's a grade above that. We're then going to roll in, spring steel is an alloy, so alloys are a newer metal that's being used to make blades with, and they make some very scary blades. I mean, the Tenchi from Chetness, which is one of the ones that's actually gotten a 5-star from Swordbuyer's Guide, has cut some crazy things. Metal poles. I've seen my buddy cut it into a wooden log with it, that you would use for like firewood. Cut it in half. And the blade didn't show very much wear or tear at all. I was very impressed. Now, what is the price range from, like, say, $100 to $200? You're going to look into the spring steel, clay tempered, and then that'll move up into $400, and then jumps up to, like, $600, $800. The craftsmanship that is involved differs here. Now, most blades you're going to see is a maru, that is one piece of steel. And now there's laminated, like this Sahigo, it's a Sanmai, which is 2-metal method, but there actually are 3 technically in this Sanmai. It's a little weird. From what I did from my analysis, there's actually like a brick that locks in from the top, another brick that wraps around the outer edge of the metal, and in the center is a diamond shape spring steel. So it actually was intriguing when I finally put this through an analysis. It is a sanmai technically, because it is a 2-metal method, and it's an untraditional sanmai, which could be good or bad. It's been good for cutting so far. This actually has a spring steel edge, so it's an extremely heavy cutter. I've cut some crazy things with it. Now, what is the difference in some of these styles? You've probably read it says differentially heat treated and clay tempered. Differential heat treated means they stuck a bunch of blades in an oven together, and they pretty much guarantee the quality of that blade to be such and such, because in the oven the outside of the metal becomes soft due to the heat. The inside usually is a lot thicker, so basically you're going to get the structure from the outer edge to in is going to be soft, medium, hard. And then they grind the thing into a point, and that's the hard edge, which is, from a factory standpoint, that's a good quality to do it, and you can just keep making blades at a certain standard. What's clay temper? Clay temper, those are where the money's going to start jumping up on you. Clay temper and laminated metals, and then laminated clay temper, it's just like, look into about 800, 600 right about there. Laminated swords are expensive to begin with, and this is kind of why I'm glad I got this one for $1.99. Clay temper is basically usually around this area of the metal. They're going to lay clay and then bake it, and then they try to do the edge grinding. So the grain structure isn't going to be uniform, it's actually going to be a little more unique, and depending on what type of clay is used and how the clay is laid out on the blade, it can result in either really flexible areas and really hard areas. It can totally change the characteristics of the sword, and you need to be a master smith to know to do that, or I would say an expert smith or someone with some really good experience to do that type of thing, or trial and error, it's just basically how you become an expert, I guess. Let's think. Those are some of the more common metals I've seen, and I would say if you are a new person, which I know a lot of you are, and please don't be afraid to ask questions, okay? Send me a message on Facebook, send it on YouTube, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can, and I will be honest with you and try to help you and work with you to get you going, Don't be afraid, guys. I'm your friend, okay? We want the swords to be functional, right? Okay. This is where I'm going to run into a thing. I've been seeing a couple of people ask about Damascus blades. Damascus is a lost metal art. I'm going to lay that out right there. It doesn't really exist anymore. There are Damascus metals being produced, and those are kind of cheap knockoffs. I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth. Damascus was originally developed, I think, in Turkey. There are different versions of Damascus. There's the Japanese method, which was called Mokumegani, which is basically what the Tsuba of, I think, Ujifusa is, but I'm not a historian, I couldn't tell you. I was told that Tsuba is from the Edo period, so I was kind of like, what the heck? Or something like that, from a historian. Not really sure about that. I'm never selling it, so don't ask. Damascus metal. Most of the Damascus swords I've tried out in today's age have been extremely fragile. They've shattered, they've broken very easily, so I wouldn't use them for a practical, I wouldn't even categorize them as a lightweight cutter. Some are actually fake Damascus, where they've laid out a normal metal like the 1065 or something, and then they wrap it in a Damascus sheet, and then they laminate it onto it, basically, which makes it look like a Damascus, but it's not. And how you can tell those is the edge is pure silver, and the outside here looks Damascus. It's very apparent to me, but some people maybe not, so I'm going to throw that out there. I actually tried a Damascus once, and I had an extreme issue. You can probably, I wonder if I can get it in. There's this X pattern, kind of a V shape on my arm here. That's from when I was holding the sword like this, and the blade actually, the blade actually went down my arm after it broke into splinters. A couple of the blades sliced through my arm right there, and it came up from like right here, and it flew down, and both edges cut me that way and that way. So that's why I'm kind of not happy with Damascus blades. I kind of don't like them. We do have a Ryan sword coming in. That's